This is the Doing Scary Things podcast. I'm Katie. I'm a veteran photographer, a serial entrepreneur, an aspiring author, and a relentless optimist. I'm a slow-talking, deep thinker from the Appalachian Mountains.
I'm Anna. I'm a prodigal musician, an accidental psychotherapist, and I'm living life mostly by experiment and endless curiosity. I'm a redheaded speed talker from a Midwestern farm town.
The purpose of this podcast is to talk to people who are doing some pretty scary things in their life about what it takes for them to push past fear and keep themselves going every day.
We'll also unpack the vulnerable things we're pursuing in our own lives and hopefully offer encouragement to you wherever you are on your journey.
Man, that was brilliant.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us today for the Doing Scary Things podcast. We're so excited to release our second single, Deathbed, and we're going to play it for you right now.
On our deathbed, can we take another breath? Tell me, deathbed, can we repair the brokenness? Do I believe the answers to my questions? Will ever be solved puzzles or nothingness? Will I deny what's promised or inevitable? Put my words into a prison or a prison? We're on the edge of our deathbed. Can we
Let's talk about that song we just played for you guys.
We're releasing it today.
Today's the day!
I feel like it's been a long time coming.
I think it has. I think all of this has.
11 months or so since we recorded it.
Hello.
Who's counting?
Not me.
Let's talk about it. This one was interesting. It was an interesting writing process, to say the least.
Certainly. Yeah, even, where it came from and then how it turned into something else. Yeah, totally. Like a Pokemon.
Limitless. Did Pokemons evolve?
They do.
See, I'm so out of the loop. Hashtag elder millennial over here. I don't even know.
You are an older millennial. I'm a less.
Who's pointing fingers?
Me.
Goodness.
I'm not counting, but
I'm not as
pointing
elder
fingers.
as the girl who invented that term. I'm just saying.
Who's a genius.
Shout out Eliza. Yeah, so Deathbed. It was a really fun and collaborative songwriting process with this one. The way it started is you had given me a printout of 13 poems you had written when you went to Africa. How long ago?
When I was 17.
And I don't even remember what really brought that on. I think you were just kind of showing them to me. But even when you gave them to me, like, I remember thinking, well, and I even told you this, like, I remember thinking, I don't really see a way to work this into a song. But I also knew that they held a lot of weight and that they were really important. And so I kept them in my little songwriting notebook, and I would revisit them frequently. Like, I would reread them. I was really thinking about them a lot. Partly because I had my own Africa experience. I've been a couple of times as well. But the first time we went, we had a situation where we had made friends with this local boy there, and he literally was visiting his sister in a hospital every day, and she was literally on her deathbed. And just the unbelievable tragedy that was, but also just reliving those moments of going into this really unclean hospital and just watching this hopeless situation. Like, that's immediately where my brain went when you gave me those. And so I think, if anything, I just wanted some time to kind of process what that was. It wasn't like we were setting out to write a song about Africa or death or anything like that.
Yeah, it was just like the gravity of it. Like, I feel like we were talking one day at my kitchen table, and I just sort of, maybe we were both talking about our Africa experiences or something just in general. And I mentioned to you that it helped me process my experience, and I wrote those on largely on the airplane on the way home. And you just were like, oh my gosh, I want to read those.
Yeah, I think that is how it happened.
Send them to me, you know? And then, you kind of like tucked it away. And I don't remember either, like, at what point we thought, maybe this could be a song, or you already had an idea that Deathbed, the concept of a deathbed, would be a cool song at some point.
I'm strangely attracted to writing about dark subjects and death and
mortality.
Not afraid of minor keys, and like, I don't know what that says about me, but yeah, I get really excited when a song has kind of a dark feeling to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had this really, really simple chorus that I was just, I don't know why I was strangely fixated on it. Like, the song wasn't progressing, so it was really just like 2 or 3 lines.
But it was catchy.
It was catchy, and it was meaningful, you know, and it was honestly about a relationship ending. That was the emotion behind it. So I was just going around with these, you know, couple of lines in my head, just over and over, deathbed, deathbed, and just really thinking, like, actually, that this is a very elementary, you know, lyric, and I probably won't stick with this. This probably won't turn into anything, but for whatever reason, it was in my head. And so, yeah, at some point, we together had the idea to sort of combine these two ideas. And essentially the song became a metaphor for, you know, the fact that a relationship ending can feel like death.
Right.
And so it was like, let's compare these two things. Let's put it all together. So literally I was in the minivan touring with my husband's band and I had your poems out. I had the melody in my head, and I was just going line by line, trying to pick out words from those poems that would turn into the verses. And so it is a little, in my opinion, it's a little weird structurally, the way the verses are with the chorus, but we put it together and we liked it. It kind of worked.
Yeah, and I feel like we really, in some instances, with the verses particularly, like, toiled and worked and reworked and tweaked, and, you know, it wasn't sort of one of those, like, boom all at once, here's the whole song, and you barely just tweak a couple things and it's done. Like, it was very thoughtful, you know, it was very thoughtful work and wanting to make sure that it fit right, but also, yeah, it was kind of a big venture to encapsulate all that in the song.
So you might have noticed that the ending,
the last half of the song,
you might have noticed that this was really 2 songs in one, and that is life hack number 20 of how to get more bang for your buck when recording. No, just kidding. No, so we decided to do the really dramatic build at the end, and that kind of just came along naturally.
Yeah.
We were trying to write a bridge, I think.
Yeah. We were, and I think when we were working on it, when we would try to think about how to write it to sort of lead back to the final chorus, you know, kind of in a more typical structure, it just, like, wasn't right.
It wasn't happening. And we were on the same wavelength, I feel like, because we had the same kind of idea in our heads. Like, we talked about, you know, this girl in a forest with, like, voices all around her.
Right.
And
as psychotic as that sounds, it came across really well in the final product.
We were so excited every step of the way. But yeah, like, even when I listen to it now, I still hear that. I still think about that girl to a certain extent. But
yeah.
But really, to me, it's like, if you're in this really difficult place in your life, you know, it's like silence can be loud, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, as weird as that is to kind of talk about, it's like you're hearing all these voices at once. You're hearing, like, all this noise, and you're trying to figure out what's real and what isn't real, and what voice do you listen to? And, you know, it's just that culmination. That's what we were trying to get across. And I think Josiah did an amazing job of...
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he understood our vision with the girl in the forest.
He acted like he did.
But I would say recording the first half of the song was pretty straightforward, and we definitely took our time with the second half. Like, we knew we had to get that right. And in the end, like, I love it. I'm so happy with it.
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, and I think you said this before about the end, you know, having sort of all that chaos and noise in your head, and then all of a sudden it's like you're sucked back into reality. Like, you snap out of it and you're
into real life.
It's awesome. I love that. I feel like that totally came across.
Yeah. Well, and so this was really the first song we recorded with Josiah Prince, who, stranger danger, had been he was a stranger up until this point. We didn't know him. He was recommended to us by Jason.
I actually
talked about that earlier.
Did know
you had
him,
met him,
but
whatever.
As an acquaintance.
Just kidding.
I had no
idea.
idea.
We weren't scared of him. I'm just kidding.
No, but he is awesome. He's really quirky, and I was just delighted at his propensity to make puns constantly in a way that I have not encountered often in my life, and I appreciate it so much.
He does love a good pun.
He does.
I will say that.
He prefers his puns intended. I drank out of that mug a number of times at the studio.
So I think one of our first encounters with him, we were doing some pre-pro over Skype. And so we were kind of talking, and you know, this was really early on. We had a very basic demo, but again, we hadn't recorded anything with him. So I know he wanted us to send him some song references. should we go back to why you're laughing?
I'm laughing because I'll tell you. Sorry, I thought about saying I was thinking people might not know what pre-pro is, and I was thinking, should I say that means pre-production? And then right around the time I was thinking that, you said demo, and I was like, demo means demonstration. It's just like it went.
Get on our level, people.
It went stupid. But pre-pro means pre-production, which is where you meet before you waste your time in the studio not knowing what you're doing.
Yeah, just kind of talking through, we wanted to have this vibe.
Yeah.
We want it to go in this direction. Are you happy with
Right. What kind of
key?
instrumentation?
Yeah.
Tempo key.
all of that?
Nailing stuff down.
Yeah. And also, nice to meet you. We're coming to your house in a couple weeks to record this. So we're doing that, and we had given him one specific reference from a band we won't name. It rhymes with
Schmamberlin.
rhymes with Schmamberlin. Anyway, we picked that song because specifically of the build at the end, because we were thinking, how are we going to explain this build and what we have in our head? So we gave that reference. Josiah's eyes got huge.
Yes, I think his eyebrows literally hit the top of his screen and bounced back down onto his face. He was so excited.
I think he was a fan of the song we mentioned.
Yes.
And yeah, just excited about taking it that direction. Because again, that's not something you would have maybe heard from the demo that we had.
Right.
So we went into the studio where we were immediately met by his two wonderful dogs.
Oh my gosh, bless their hearts.
Asher and Lucy. This is what happened from my perspective. And Josiah still doesn't know this story, so I hope he's listening. I remember, and honestly, this was the first time first and only time he had built out any part of a track while we weren't there. The rest of the time, we were in there making decisions. He would say, what do you think about this?
Right.
And we were making decisions on the instrumentation and everything.
Yeah.
So he had gotten started on this, and he said, I think I may have gone to Schmamberlin. And he proceeds to play this guitar part that he has made that's in the first part of the song.
Right. It's like the opening lick.
Yes.
Yeah, it's good.
So he has his back turned to us just to set the stage a little in this room. So he has his back turned. I'm looking over at Anna as we're listening to the song, and her mouth is pretty much on the floor.
Agape. Totally agape.
Her jaw had dropped to the floor.
The height that Josiah's eyebrows went was equal to the depth that my jaw went.
Meanwhile, sweet Asher had jumped on top of me and was licking every part of my face, which I'm shy. I like to get to know animals before I make out with them.
Before they stick their tongue in your mouth.
Just as a typical rule, not all the time, but most of the time.
Right. So
I'm literally, attack is a strong word. We won't go there, but I am overwhelmed with Asher's presence at this point. And I'm trying to get Anna's attention to show her what is happening to me with this dog.
Right.
But she's so enamored, rightly so, with this guitar part.
The music is blasting.
It's so loud.
Yeah, blasting.
So I was totally alone, guys, and I just wanted to share that. Nobody was there with me in this moment.
Except Asher.
Asher was there. Asher calmed down a little bit.
Asher's a beautiful husky, by the way.
So pretty, and he sings.
And he says that he loves you.
He sings.
Only after making out with you, though.
Yeah.
He decided. He fell in love.
He's a little forward. All that to say, in hindsight, I hear that part and I think, had we been in the studio, it probably wouldn't have turned out the same way. That guitar part probably wouldn't have been the same. However, we heard it and we loved it.
Right.
I feel like it was a very conscious decision to leave it in because we knew this isn't really going to match the rest of the songs, but we love it and let's just go with it.
And I feel like, too, that was one of the benefits of, we did Deathbed and Close in the same week in the studio, and they're both some of the weirder ones structurally and stuff like that. And
They think you're weird, by the way.
who does?
Deathbed and Clips.
Oh, I figured they would.
Side note.
I don't hold it against them. That was kind of the beauty of it too, because we did find other ways to sort of to like tie them in enough with the other songs, even though they really do stand on their own and they've got some really unique features about them. Like there is no other song, you know, that we have or maybe that anybody has that builds like that and ends like that. And I think it's really cool that sort of Josiah had the creative license and stuff after our pre-production meeting to just run with that and do it. It's just a good little lesson in letting go and letting other people, you know, in the process have full license to do
Totally.
their vision of it, you know, because we loved it.
Yeah, I mean, I think about where that song was when we were here, like working on the lyrics, like on the keyboard, and I even remember us saying then, like, I don't know what direction this is going to take.
Yeah.
You know, it could go a couple of different ways, and so yeah, that was really interesting to see. And we talk about this a lot of just letting each song kind of have its own personality, like not really worrying or caring about, does this fit with the rest of the album or, you know, a certain genre. And so this is kind of an outlier in a lot of ways. It was interesting. I'll say this. It was interesting recording this one first of the 5 that we did with Josiah, because we were like, okay, we sort of went maybe as far as we want to go creatively, and now we're going to tone it back a little. We talked about that. Definitely. That was sort of our way of thinking, but it was sort of cool, like you said, to just let ourselves experiment in that way, just to see what happens. Like, I love the finished product. Even if it is different than the other songs.
I also feel like that song and that moment, well, 2 things. One, that's what solidified it for us in our minds that we were a secret rock band, because that song throws down. Second of all...
Thanks to Josiah.
I know. Thanks, Josiah.
Nothing that we did.
He's not in a super hardcore rock band or anything like that.
No, never.
But also, I remember us coming back from that first Nashville trip where we went to record with Josiah, and we decided that the theme of the whole experience so far was surprise.
That's right.
Do you remember that?
I had forgotten about that.
And I mean, that was a huge surprise.
It was a surprise to us.
Yeah, the shape that song took was a big surprise.
But a happy surprise.
Yes. Isn't it nice to be pleasantly surprised?
Isn't that what people say when they didn't mean to get pregnant, and then they're like, it's a happy surprise.
It's a happy surprise. Not to be confused with an oh bleep. Yeah.
Anyway.
We had been writing together for years already at that point, and so we had quite the catalog built up already of songs that we really liked, and so we had to go through those and sort of pick the top contenders for the other spots on the project, and Deathbed was one of our top choices, and it was on the list from the beginning, as I recall, right?
Yeah, at that point. Because, we were constantly sort of paring down. And I remember at one point we'd gotten it down to 12 songs. And then we'd gotten it down to 10 songs. And we never knew, honestly, until we were almost finished with the project, we never knew exactly how many we were going to record.
Right.
And then the funny thing was, like, we had these favorites from the very beginning. Like, we knew we were always going to record it at some point. So we had our favorites, but then we kept writing new ones. And so Deathbed was relatively new.
Yeah, it was
And
newer.
I think as soon as we wrote it, we were like, yep, this one, we're doing this one.
Is there anything you want to say about the process of recording it, just in terms of, like, you were singing the main vocal on it, first time singing with Josiah, or, like, on that trip, and just, like, you didn't really envision that flavor of song for yourself necessarily?
Oh, that's true. Okay. Yeah. Okay, guys. Let's just talk about my voice.
I need to move my leg. Okay.
Let's just talk about my voice for a second. Super soft. Like, love it or hate it, I cannot change it. Like,
it's very sweet.
Oh, it's precious.
It's better than being very meat.
No, it's fine. Yeah, I just have a really soft voice. And up until this point, I've done a lot of background vocals and it's worked well. You know, my husband also has a soft voice. And so when I've sung with him, like I think our voices go really well together and that's great. And that's been awesome. But yeah, to take a song like this, I mean, I think there was definitely a moment where I wasn't sure if I could sing it. Like I probably even said that to you, like, you know, I'll try it. And if I can't do it, then you do it, you know?
And I think I was like, la, 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 la.
But it was very natural. And it was a very natural process. Josiah is really good at vocals and coaching vocals. And,
yeah, totally.
He definitely made that really easy.
And fun.
The part of, I don't know what to call that second part. I keep stumbling over that. The build up at the end, the second half of the song was interesting to me because we did not go in knowing what we were going to sing,
right?
Essentially.
We just knew we needed a variety of stuff and that we wanted to be surrounded by voices in the woods.
Yeah.
That's all we knew.
Yeah. And so you had some ideas, I had some ideas, and Josiah had some ideas, and what we ended up with is really just a great mixture of all that.
Yeah.
And I was listening to this the other day while I was running, and a part stood out to me. It's a part that I did, and we called it, while we were editing it, I kept calling it the ha-ha part because that's sort of the noise I was making. But it sort of, to me, comes across as like a breath, of like this desperate breath. This really emotional moment. And I love that.
I love those. Yeah. I always think of them as the ha-has too.
The ha-has. Turn the ha-has up.
Ha-has.
But,
it's great.
Yeah, because like we were talking about earlier, like we just wanted it to be all encompassing of, you know, if you're going through, you know, a breakup or a relationship ending or someone dying, like that's such an emotional moment. And so like, what's going through your mind at that moment? That's what we were trying to portray. So hopefully we got close.
There was something else I was gonna, this is how lovely and accommodating and adventurous of a producer Josiah is.
No, I forgot about this.
At the end of that first trip to Nashville, he did his darndest to teach Katie how to do a screamo scream.
Yeah.
And it became a hostage situation.
I had forgotten about all this. Okay, this is what happened. I made the mistake, even though I don't regret it, of telling him that one of my lifelong dreams has basically always been to be in a screamo band, like know how to scream.
How fun.
And he was genuinely excited about teaching me until I think I tried. And then I definitely saw the excitement leave his face of like, yeah, this isn't going to work.
He was so excited he wouldn't let us drive back to Georgia.
We did try it several times. He demoed it for me. He's way better of a screamer than I am. I think I was just afraid to scream. I was afraid to open my mouth.
Yeah.
This is a long story
for
me.
I think you were just like, that's okay. Like, it's fine. And he was like, no. Like,
this is now a hostage situation.
No, we're doing this. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't think of it like that. He was saying I was the hostage.
Yeah.
I literally thought he was trying to get me to be scared and to scream.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I thought he was saying like,
imagine that
I have
you're
a
in
hostage. You should scream. I don't know.
That is so funny.
I don't know.
Well, you know what though? I don't know. We'll
ask him because we're gonna have him on. To his credit, he said, "I'm gonna make something out of this."
He did.
Of my horrendous scream. I can't even think about it. So that's the noise you hear.
Yeah.
From the first half of the song to the second half of the song, it sounds a little bit like water to me.
Yeah. That's
my scream and he turned some knobs and made it into that. So
he's such a good knob turner. I love it.
Yeah. So why don't we play the song one more time? And I hope you guys like it. As always, you can find it, everywhere songs are or on our website, jasperandjademusic.com.
That's right. And we'll catch you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
On our deathbed, can we take another breath? Tell me, deathbed, can we repair the brokenness? Do I believe the answers to my questions? Will ever be solved puzzles or nothingness? Will I deny what's promised or inevitable? Put my words into a prison or a prison? We're on the edge of our deathbed. Can we take another breath? Tell me, deathbed, can we repair the brokenness? Can we reclaim the life that's left? Tell me, deathbed, tell me. Our fate is growing darker, these sleepless nights. Are you better off now in another life? Can you even say it? Can I? On our deathbed, can we take another breath? Tell me, deathbed, can we repair the brokenness? Can we reclaim the life that's left? Tell me, deathbed, tell me. When the shadows overcome you, whisper, 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 when the shadows when the shadows
Thanks so much for listening today. We really hope you liked our new single, Deathbed. It is available on iTunes, Spotify, and anywhere you listen to music. Don't forget to join us next week on the Doing Scary Things podcast. Anything else people say when they get pregnant? Just kidding.
It works.
It works! Eureka!